In this video, we're going to take a look at a blue-black ink by Diamine, a part of their 150th anniversary series, 1864 Blue-Black. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also down in the description is a link to the blue-black playlist, so if you want to see more of them, you can find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. Now we have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do get some spots of shading that are going on where quick in the fine goes dark to light to dark, brown goes dark to light. In the medium, it goes dark to light to dark in the word quick, and over it goes light to dark. Now the extra fine is certainly lighter than the stub. The medium is about the same tone as the extra fine. The extra fine took 13 seconds to dry, where the medium took 20 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both showed no color variation, although we are getting little bits of it in there. The smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Pen BBS 456 with a 1.5 stub was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, some minor ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub. The medium's the same tone as the stub. The extra fine took 20 seconds to dry, where the medium took 28 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation, and we're not getting any. And the smear test, you could recover, maybe, if you smeared while you were writing. I think you have a better chance at the extra fine than you do the medium. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. Now this is interesting because as it moves up, it's not so much a very dark blue, but it's like a very dark purple that moves up, and then you see that kind of black aspect that's normal in the blue-black inks at the top. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked in the water, and it very much looks the same. It really leads me to say I don't expect any resistance from this ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. Now we have no feather, spread, halo, sheen. We do get some spots of shading in the extra fine where you see the K in quick is a bit darker. You see that the word the is darker than what's around it, and the R in over is darker. The extra fine is much lighter than the stub, where the medium is the same tone as the stub. The extra fine took 15 seconds to dry, and the medium took 21 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both showed no color variation, although we are getting a light peppering of darker spots in the extra fine, and the smear test I do think you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, you probably could use this. It does have quite a bit of spread, quite a bit of feathering that's occurring. However, I can read what's there, so the information is still coming through. The interesting thing, looking at the swatch in itself, the swatch looks much more blue than the writing does. The writing tends to come across to me as a very, very dark blue-black. It is a blue-black as I read it, but I mostly see the black, and I see more of the blue in the swatch. Water's lifting all of the black aspects, really leaving a much lighter blue down there. Pen Flush does everything that water does and nothing more, and the 1/3 bleach solution is completely obliterating it. But, as you would expect with Diamine inks, it only took water to get this out of my pen. The next writing sample is done on yellow Rhodia paper. This isn't done really to see any kind of performance change. It's done to see tone change that we can go through. Now, just to point out the difference when we see in the smear, yes, it does smear and start showing some green, meaning this is a little bit more of a translucent color where it's blue on the white. But in the writing, there's some tone change, but nothing that would make you say that looks green. So for that, I think you could still pass in a professional environment with this ink. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's 1864 Blue Black has a viscosity of 2.09, meaning it is almost normal. Just a tiny bit wetter. If you're interested in all that viscosity stuff, there's a link to the video down in the description. Now, let's take a look at the next writing sample done on Limon paper. This is not known as a fountain pen friendly paper. It has a ton of bleed spots that are going on. None of these bleed spots come through and touch the next page, but I do think it leaves you in a position that you could not use the back of the paper if you wanted to. We do have some feathering that's going on. We see it a little bit in the word black, not so much in the word diamine, so it's there and it's not there. We see it in the K of quick, but not in all of the word quick. And the feathers that are there are absolutely tiny. We have no spread, no halo, no sheen. One or two spots of shading. The K in quick looks a bit darker. The X in fox a little bit darker. The E in the. But none of it in the medium, none of it in the stub. Only in the extra fine. The extra fine's lighter than the stub. The medium is darker than the extra fine and just a hair lighter than the stub. The extra fine took 8 seconds to dry, where the medium took 13 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both showed us no color variation, but we do see a couple peppered spots in the extra fine. And the smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's 1864 Blue Black has an average dry time of 20 seconds, making it normal. The last writing sample is done on black and red notebook. No bleeding, no ghosting. Now we have no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade. This is a very straightforward in whichever one it is. The extra fine is lighter than the stub, where the medium is just a tad darker than the stub. The extra fine took 10 seconds to dry and the medium took 15. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation. We're not getting it in the writing. And the smear test, you stand a strong chance of recovery if you smear while you're writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's 1864 Blue Black, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with an orange ink by Diamine Sunset. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those playlists. So what do I think of Diamine's 150th anniversary 1864 Blue Black? In the writing, this is far darker than I prefer for blue blacks. It looks like a black with something else there. It's just not what I care for. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? Now, if you like this very dark tone, then you can get that easily with a medium nib. I would like to lighten it up a little bit, and I would really prefer to be using it with a very dry medium or very dry broad nib, just to get more of that blue-black feel from it. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at Iroshizuku's Fuyugaku, or Winter Persimmon.